Hey guys, welcome to GT Dreamer Central, aka my office. So I'm working on another YouTube project that's going to be called In Season. It's going to be about my other passion in life, which is wildlife management, hunting, land management, and it's going to showcase my farms, which I'm extremely excited about. But that's the other side of my coin. I've been basically a farmer slash hunter slash land developer for quite some time, and you'll be able to follow along on that. Follow the link, and hope you enjoy it. Now today, I've got a really special announcement car that I want to show you guys. My friend Ben over at Wheels Boutique sold it to me, brought it to me last week, and it's just about time for me to show you. Look, there's been this incredible love affair with the 300 SL gullwing from 1954 that I've had. And even though those are unobtainium, I was able to find this incredible SLS Black Series from 2014. Come take a look. I'm super excited about it. It is amazing, and it just fulfills that incredible dream of mine of having one of these, very sought after Mercedes. Let's take it for a drive. Tell me what you think. And we're off. The process is not so simple. I spent countless hours online researching, talking to dealers across the nation, talking to friends of mine that own the car. And at the end of the day, it just kind of fell in my lap. It's the craziest, most random thing. I should know by now that life is that random, but listen to this. I had one spot in the garage because I sold the Speedster. It was like 2 weeks before I even saw this car. Had it not been for that it opened up a slot, I wouldn't have been able to buy it. But it just kind of worked out that way. And next thing you know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute. Is this car for sale? When you're deciding whether or not to put your hard-earned money into a car, a collectible car like this, you want to have a certain level of exclusivity, right? Because that will go a long way to maintaining a value for a car. And in this case, Mercedes only produced about 350 of them worldwide. 132 of them came to the US. Out of those 132, only 5 of them were sold in Mars Red. So this color is quite rare, which is one of the things that I really attracted me to it. And most people buy red Ferraris. Well, this year I bought a blue Ferrari and a red Mercedes. Life is mighty strange, isn't it? So we've already put several hundred miles on this car, and it's really exciting because you hear a little bit more. You pay attention to the sounds you hear from the suspension, that glorious engine note. The more you step on this, the more character it's coming from the exhaust. It's just a wonderful car, and I'm looking forward maybe one day down the line of being able to add one of the new GT Black Series to the collection. Wouldn't that be awesome? One of the things I find so curious about how to develop an exotic car such as this is the tug of war between the designers and the engineers. You can tell, especially on the side of the car, where some of the vents aren't really functional. In a car of this magnitude that they want to sell as a track car, normally you'd have to do a lot of air management. And it seems that the designers really wanted to maintain the beauty of the car over things like aerodynamics. So there must have been a hell of a back and forth between both of these camps. Let's go over some of the cool design features the SLS Black Series has, starting from the front, working our way backwards. You look here, we've got a pretty low carbon fiber front splitter, redesigned front bumper with these two accents on both sides, and then we have the air flicks. One of the absolute coolest things I consider is the way that the hood just goes almost straight up, and it serves two purposes. On the one hand, it's a lot easier to service the car because the engine is so far back in behind the front axle that you can come over here on this side and don't have any impediments. And secondly, it allows you to showcase this striking engine bay with all its added carbon fiber. Now, one of the things that I need to show you here, so you can see it also at the back of the car, is how much more body they added to the side of the car. The front and rear bumpers they have this much added to it, and it's highlighted in the opposite direction by the indentation of the side vent here. It's a striking piece of carbon fiber, inlaid enough to be able to showcase this blade on the side of the car. Carbon fiber is continued with a very minimalist little side skirt on the side here. Carbon is continued inside the car with this ledge that works really, really well with a center stack in the middle and the inside of the doors. So on the SLS Black Series, or really all the SLSs, you can't, in the event of a crash, obviously you can't, in a rollover, you can't get out of the car because the door would be closed on you. But Mercedes has developed explosive charges on the latches. So in case of a rollover, it automatically knows that it needs to set off an explosion, separating the latches from the car and allowing you to be able to exit. I just think it's so cool that they can have such a difficult task and figure out something innovative to solve it. And in order to show you this other feature of the car, I have to close the door and bring your attention to this crease that starts all the way on the front light, comes along the edge, kind of melds into the side of the door, and then becomes pronounced again all the way to the back of the light. Same way it started, in the front light and ended in the rear light. And also of note, if you follow the line of the side plate of the carbon fiber wing, it follows the same contour. But it doesn't end there. You see those two ridges on both sides of the hood? They open up and they flare stylistically and end on the flare of the carbon fiber wing as well. And all of this is done in such a way that it is extremely elegant and timeless design. Well, it's a little noisy here, and before we get mugged, let's take off and drive some more. So Mercedes bumped up the horsepower from about 583 to 622 in the Black Series, which is great for the time. Nowadays, you see cars that, like the McLaren 765 LT, come out with nearly 800 horsepower, and the Ferrari 812 GTS has nearly 800 horsepower. And you start to see how, in a collection like mine, I will look at this car not as a track car, but as a Grand Tourer. And I think ultimately that's the beauty of this car. The strength of this car is being a Grand Tourer. That being said, this car has one of the greatest production high displacement engines in the past 20 years. 6.2 liters, revs to 8,000 RPMs, but more importantly delivers max horsepower at 7,400 RPM. It wants to scream, and it just enjoys being high in the power band. This car will do 0 to 60 in about 3.2 seconds. Max speed is about 196. It has one of the early dual clutch transmissions. How you compare it to today, you know, it's a little slower than I'm used to, but It's a solid transmission, works perfectly well. It's just a little bit dated, that's all. One of the things that I don't have on the car, that wasn't even offered by Mercedes, is a front axle lift. And I don't know about you guys, but for some reason, I have so many driveways that I have to really worry about. It's just a matter of time before I have to replace that carbon fiber front splitter. So an option I have is upgrading the coilovers with a KW suspension upgrade, and that'll give me 4 airbags that'll probably lift the car by about 1 inch and give me enough clearance to not have to worry about it. At the end of the day, these are just minor annoyances that you can find in any car. And all they are is just character. It doesn't matter whether you have a Lambo or whether you have a Ferrari or whether you have a Ford GT. They're all special, they're all different. They all have a certain level of nuance to them. And this is an incredibly stunning design that will be ageless, that, in my opinion, is going to go up in value. One of the cool things is, if you look at the cockpit, it is a very, very special, very different. The windshield is almost upright. The windows are pretty short, but it almost looks like you're in some kind of ship. And I remember when this car was announced, they had a commercial that, if I recall, it said it has a cockpit, has an engine, it has 2 wings. Is it a car or something else? And that's where the beauty of this car is. It is an ageless design that will stand the test of time. No matter whether it's 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you'll always be able to look back on this car, on the SLS, and marvel at how wonderful and how beautiful it is.